All my life, from when I was a boy, I enjoyed thinking about and reading about the world around me. My father was an engineer and my mother a maths teacher, and so I had an interest they instilled in me from very, very young in maths and science, and my interests have only got broader as I've got older. But I had a problem that I faced when I was young. I quickly came to realize that some Christians weren't that keen on science, and especially when science appeared to challenge faith. The area of South Africa I grew up in wasn't that different from Jamaica, in that most people were Christian, but mostly Protestant. Protestants tend to be more skeptical about reason, about science, say, and the people I grew up with sometimes saw some parts of science, evolution by natural selection, for example, as almost a test of faith. They saw it as clearly against the Bible, and of course you ought to choose the Bible over any other source. I agree with that last principle, of course. And Catholics in my hometown, and I think in Jamaica too, were quite often influenced by that Protestant attitude of being skeptical about reason. Even at the time, I wondered why God would give us brains if we weren't supposed to use them. It was such a relief when I got to university and learned about Thomas Aquinas, because he has such a positive attitude to reason. Reason, he says, is a gift from God. Actually, along with our ability to love, it's what makes us in the image of God. We are most like God in our being able to love what is good and know what is true. A great part of St Thomas's work was in relating the science and philosophy of his day, which came mostly from the Greek thinker Aristotle, to the Christian faith. Instead of keeping faith and reason separate, St Thomas thought reason was a great help to faith. He thought reason could do three important jobs for us. Firstly, it could refute error. If someone makes an argument that aims to show the Catholic faith is wrong, that argument can't be right, because our Catholic faith is true. And reason can help us work out where the argument goes wrong and answer it. Secondly, reason can show the connections between the doctrines of our faith. We believe God is a Trinity, for example, and we also believe that God became incarnate in Jesus. Reason can help us think about how the doctrine of the Holy Trinity and the doctrine of the Incarnation fit together. A lot of my homilies on a Sunday try to do that kind of thing, so I hope you've seen me try to do that a few times already. The third use of reason in faith might surprise you. St. Thomas thought that some of the things we believe by faith can also be known by reason. The most important one is that St. Thomas thinks that the existence of God can be demonstrated by philosophical argument. If you see a picture or statue of St. Thomas, he's usually posed like this. What he's doing is showing you that he has 5 ways of showing that God exists. Maybe that sounds very strange to you, but it's not so different from thoughts that may have occurred to you already. You may have thought, why does anything exist? Surely for anything to exist, God must create it. Or you found yourself in a beautiful place, and you've thought, all this beauty, there must be a God. St. Paul puts it in his letter like this in his letter to the Romans. Ever since the creation of the world, the invisible existence of God and his everlasting power have been clearly seen by the mind's understanding of created things. That's from Romans 1, verse 20. So St. Thomas argues that God, who is pure existence, must exist to give existence to the world. God has revealed his existence to us, but we can also know he exists by thinking about it. I mean, he thinks it's a good thing that God has revealed it to us, because not everyone is a philosopher, not everyone can follow philosophical arguments. And so, and even philosophers make mistakes. So if God hadn't revealed his existence to us, we wouldn't have known it except after a very long time and with a lot of mistakes. But nevertheless, we can use our minds, our brains, to think about the things of faith, and some of the things of faith we can actually know by philosophical argument, Aquinas thinks. Of course, the truly thrilling truths of the gospel, that God is a trinity of love and has become one of us in Jesus, those things can only be known by faith. Join me again tomorrow as I talk about God who is love.